Hey everyone, it's Lee at MyProductiveMac, continuing our dive into DEVONthink by taking a look at groups and tags. Now, people generally fit into one of two categories. You're either a grouper that loves to create folders or groups and diligently file all of your content into the correct location. So in this tech research group, I've got subgroups for applications, iOS and macOS. And if I break those open, I've got subgroups for each individual application or iOS feature or macOS feature here. It's all very logical and structured. Alternatively, you may be a bit more like me and a tagger, where you throw everything into just a handful of different groups, or maybe even just one group, and use tags to logically separate your stuff. So these tags can span multiple groups. In fact, this macOS tag has files that are contained in 5 different groups. Now, whichever one of these you are, DEVONthink can work for you. So let's look at groups first and how to create them. So there are a variety of ways to make a group. So first of all, I'll just make sure that I've got a group highlighted here and come up to data, then new, then group here at the bottom. Now a group appears one level below whichever item was originally selected, and you can give it a name, and the group's created and automatically sorted alphabetically. Now another way of creating a group is of course to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Shift Command and N, then give that one a name. And then next, you can click on these ellipses up here, come down to New and Group. I'll give this one a name as well. And then finally, you can just right click anywhere here to bring up a context menu, and you can create a group from there. It's all very simple. Now that's how to create a new empty group. If you want to create a new group that contains some existing items, then simply select all of the items you would like to add to a new group by command clicking or pressing shift between the uppermost and lowermost file. Come up to data, and at the bottom here, select group items. I'll give this a name. And we can see that within this group are the other items that I selected. And that of course is reflected down here as well. Now moving items between groups is easy, and there's many ways to do this. The most intuitive way is to find the file and then drag and drop it into a new location. And there it is there. Now, because you may have loads of groups and not necessarily have multiple DEVONthink windows open, you may want to move via a context menu. And you can do that via these ellipses. Come down to Move To. And recent destinations are at the top, so choose where you want it to go. And of course, you can get to the context menu as well by right-clicking the item, then simply moving it that way. And then finally, with the item selected, you can come up to Data, Move To, and then you've got a new floating window that appears where you can either drill down to the location that you want to move it to, or you can search for it, and then just use the arrow keys and return to drop it in. Let's move on to tags now, and both groups and files can be tagged. So here in my iOS group, I've come down to see what's in this battery health one. And I've got a notes file in here, which I will populate as I learn more about how to maintain my iPhone's battery. So how do I know what tags this file has, and how do I add any more? Well, if you have the inspector open here on the right, be sure to be in the information panel here. And we can see the tags just down here. So there's 2 right now. We've got one called iOS and one called iOS battery health. An easier way to see them is to come up here to View and select Show Tags. Now we have a tags bar along the bottom that shows the tags that have been assigned to the file. You can click in here and type to add a new or existing tag to it. And we can see that's now immediately reflected over here. And once you have the tag bar enabled down here, you can hover over a tag, and on the right hand side an arrow appears that if you click, gives you a few more options. So Get Info will show an information pane about the tag on the right hand side, and from here you can rename it, you can give it an alias, you can see how many items have that particular tag, and lots more that's out of the scope of this particular video. But one cool thing you can do here is give your tag its own color. So just select the color that you want it to have, then click away, and we can see that the color has changed in the tag bar. It's not going to update in the information pane on the right just yet until you come out and back in again. Other options that are available from the drop-down arrow here include revealing the tag and removing it. Now, if you reveal, this takes you to the tag list. Now, by default, tag lists for all databases are over here where the inboxes are. They've all been unified and they're global. And we'll change that behavior in just a little while. But if I break these open, These are all the tags that are in my tech research database, and we can see the new orange one down there. Now, if you are indeed a tagger, you will spend most of your time with your tag list open here rather than groups, because it's easy to just click on a tag and see all of the files in your database that have that tag and work as needed. Then if you want to add a tag, type in a new one down here, and you can see that as I type, suggestions appear of existing tags in the DEVONthink database that you may want to use to save time. And now this file appears in the iOS tag here as well. If you like the idea of using both groups and tags, then you can actually set DEVONthink up to convert all groups into tags, and this does have some advantages. Let's take a look at this file here. So the tag bar is empty because I haven't tagged the file at all. And group-wise, it's sitting in the accessibility group, which in turn is sitting in the Mac OS group. Now we can see that clearly here. And there is a setting that we can enable per database that would automatically assign the group names to the file as tags. Now if I right-click on the database name, come down to database properties, there's a checkbox here enabled for exclude groups from tagging. Now this means that currently groups are not treated as tags. Now before I uncheck this, just look at the icons next to the group names. They all look like little folders. Well, I'll uncheck and we can see now they've turned into tags. Now the tag bar hasn't updated for this file yet because I'm going to need to click away and come back in to show the changes. But if I just go to this file vault group below and click on the file in there, this one's now got two tags. It's got file vault and it's got Mac OS because these are the names of the groups that it is currently a member of. I'll come back across to accessibility here, reselect that file. And we can see that one too now has two tags. It's got the macOS tag and the accessibility one because the groups have now essentially been converted into tags. You can still enable the drop down arrow next to them to carry out actions. And rather nicely, there are some suggested tags here. So the AI in DEVONthink is amazing. It can look at other files, the contents of them, and suggest existing tags that you may want to apply. So I'll add this mission controlled one. Now that will only apply that tag to this file. It's not going to apply to others that have the macOS tag. So I'll just come up to this file vault one here to validate that. And sure enough, there is no mission control tag, but I'll come down to the macOS tag and click and see if there's any other ones that I think I should add. And yeah, I think the installing new OS tag would be good because file vault is important when you're installing a new OS. Now, I said earlier that the default place for all tags to be listed is up here underneath the inboxes. Now, if you don't want to have that, then open up Preferences, make sure you're on the General tab, and in there, make sure you're in Interface, and then uncheck the box for Unify Tags. The Unify Inboxes, just above, does exactly the same thing, but just for each database's inbox rather than each database's tags. Now, I'll close this, and we can see the tags have disappeared from up here, and instead, each database now has a section for its own tags, which you'll need to use. Another cool thing to note about tags is when you import a file into DEVONthink, if it had tags in whichever external app or source it originated from, they will be imported as well. So all of these tags in my demo stuff, I haven't actually created a single one of these, not one. These here, they come from somewhere else. Now let's close this and come down to the group that contains an RSS feed that I subscribed to in another video. Now this is MacSparky's RSS feed, and if I click on a feed article in here, there are two tags. We've got Not Labs and Paste. If I click another one, all of these tags here are ones that MacSparky assigned when sending the feed out, and DEVONthink just naturally imported them. So let's just validate my thinking there and make sure that works. I'm going to come up to my inbox and I'll open Finder. I'll select this emoji document here and press Command and I to show the info page for it. And at the top here, it's got a tag called emoji. Okay, let's close this and drag it into DEVONthink. And if I close this here, we can see the tag indeed has been imported. The last area that I want to quickly cover is another type of group, and that's a smart group. Now, smart groups are dynamic in that you don't physically put anything in there. You simply configure the smart group to only contain files that match certain parameters, and then the group will self-populate. It's a bit like a saved search, really, or a saved filter, and it's dead easy to set up. There are some default smart groups already. So today, for example, will show files that have been added today. Recently added shows files, I think, added within the last week. History shows all files, I believe, that have been added. And you can see what each smart group should contain by right-clicking select Edit. And this is how a smart group is configured. Now I can see that this group should show any document. So yeah, it's going to be everything really. Let's take a look at the recently added one. And here we can see that this smart group will only show documents that have been added this week. Okay, let's create our own one now. So if I open up my tech research database here, there's lots of groups in here that contain a study notes file. And these will start to be filled in as I learn more about the app or the function. And I think I've got one file in each of around 25 groups here, but I'd like to have one smart group that pulls all of those study note files together. So I come down here, I'll right click and select new smart group. I give it a name. And then below that, you can determine how wide the search will be for the items that are going to go into your group. So the highest you can have is all databases level, but you can go down to individual group levels if you want. Now I want this search to just be in my tech research database. There are checkboxes here to exclude any subgroups and just search within the specific parent group you've named. You can also ignore diacritics, and diacritics are accented characters in foreign languages. Fuzzy searching will use what is known as a fuzzy algorithm. So if you're searching for the word test, for example, you may get results for the word text with an X. And any occurrences of the text that you search for as part of the group criteria will appear here if you check this one. But I don't need any of this. I just want to get my parameters in. So this drop down lets you decide if all of the below attributes need to be met or just any of them. Then click this one here to select your first one. So I want this filter to be based on the name. And then next, I need the name to end with certain text. And this is because I know that all of my files end with the word notes. I can add more criteria here by clicking plus. Then click the drop down to select. And we've got loads of options here. You can base it on the content of the file, the metadata, the URL. Down here, we've got the tag. And also you can filter based on the date attributes as well. There's so much there. But I don't need any of this though. So I'll remove this line here and click OK. And there is my new study notes smart group. And up here, we have all of those files corralled into one tidy group. So that was a summary on how to use groups, tags, and smart groups to organize your data in DEVONthink. If you like this video and want to see more content on DEVONthink or macOS, iOS, all of the OSs, then like and subscribe, leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see, and I may be able to get something done. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and see you again soon.